If you've ever driven through rural Texas at night, you already know how empty it gets. And if something goes wrong out there, you're on your own. Caleb Turner had been doing delivery work for almost a year, mostly late night routes. Food, packages, sometimes private courier jobs. The pay was better after midnight, less traffic, fewer stops. That night, his final delivery came in at 11:18 p.m. The address looked normal at first, until he zoomed in. County Road 12, outside Huntsville, Texas. No house number, just coordinates. That should have been a red flag, but the pay was high, $85 for a single drop, cash tip included. So he accepted it. The drive started normal, highway lights, gas stations, passing cars. Then the road narrowed. 2 lanes turned into one, asphalt turned into gravel, and eventually his GPS signal dropped. No service. Caleb sighed. But the route was already loaded, so he kept going. That's when things got quiet. He checked the time, 11:52 p.m. Then suddenly, his GPS updated. A new route appeared. A turn that hadn't been there before. A dirt path, cutting through trees. Caleb slowed the truck. That's not right. But the destination marker sat at the end of that path. So he turned. The trees closed in almost immediately, branches hanging low, blocking out what little moonlight there was. The road wasn't really a road anymore, more like tire tracks. Then he saw it, a house, or something like one. Old, wooden, 1 story, no lights, no car, no signs of life. Caleb parked about 20 feet away, left the engine running. He checked the package. No name, no label, just a plain brown box. That was the second red flag. He stepped out. The air felt wrong, heavy, like stepping into a closed room. He walked up to the porch. The wooden boards creaked under his weight. Then, before he could knock, the door opened. A man stood there, tall, thin, too still. You're late. Caleb frowned. Sorry, GPS issues. The man didn't respond, just stared. Then slowly extended his hand. Caleb handed over the box. The man took it, but didn't go inside. Didn't move, just stood there, holding it. Then he said something that made Caleb's stomach drop. You came farther than the others. Caleb blinked. What? No response. The man stepped back into the house and closed the door. No thank you, no tip, nothing. Caleb stood there for a second, then turned around and froze because his truck was off, the headlights dead, and the engine silent. He was sure he'd left it running. He walked back slowly, tried the door, locked. That didn't make sense either. He reached for his phone. No signal. Battery, 12%. Then, he heard something from behind him. The house, a sound, dragging, heavy, like something being pulled across wood. Caleb turned slowly. The front door was open again, but the man wasn't there. The inside was dark, too dark, like the light didn't reach inside. Then, he saw movement. Deep inside the house, something shifting, low to the ground, then rising, too tall, way too tall. Caleb stepped back, and that's when the voice came again, not from the door, from behind him. You shouldn't have stayed. Caleb spun around. No one there, but the truck door was now open, slowly creaking. He didn't question it. He ran, jumped inside, turned the key. The engine started instantly. Headlights flickered on. He looked up. The house was gone, completely gone. Just trees and empty ground. Caleb drove, didn't stop, didn't look back. He reached the highway at 12:26 a.m. Signal returned. Everything normal again, or so he thought. The next morning, he checked the delivery app. The order didn't exist. No record, no payment, no address, nothing. He contacted support. They told him something strange. There were no deliveries assigned to you last night. Caleb didn't argue. He just deleted the app, quit the job. But 3 days later, something showed up at his apartment. A package. No label, no sender. Just a brown box. The same size, same weight as the one he delivered. Caleb stared at it for a long time, then noticed something. The tape was already cut, and from inside, something shifted. If you ever move into an old house and there's a room the previous owner tells you never to open, leave, because some doors aren't locked to keep things out. They're locked to keep something in. Evan Carter moved into a 2-story farmhouse just outside a dying town in upstate New York. The place was cheap, and one strange condition from the previous owner. There's a room upstairs, keep it locked. Evan laughed it off at the time. Old houses always had weird quirks. He assumed it was structural damage or mold, something boring, something normal. The first few days passed quietly, too quietly. No cars, no distant voices, just wind brushing across the fields. On the third night, Evan noticed the door at the end of the upstairs hallway. Old wood, faded paint, and a rusted lock. He stood in front of it, longer than he should have, not touching it, just staring. Something about it made his chest feel tight, like standing too close to a cliff edge. That night, around 2:40 a.m., he woke up, not to a noise, but to a feeling, like someone was standing in the hallway. He sat up slowly. The house was silent, but then a sound, soft, barely there, a slow, dragging noise from upstairs. Evan grabbed his phone and stepped into the hallway. The sound stopped immediately. He turned toward the locked door. Nothing. He told himself it was the pipes, old wood, wind pressure, anything. But the next night, it happened again, this time louder, closer, dragging, scratching, like something moving across the floor, right behind the door. Evan pressed his ear against it. And that's when he heard it. Breathing. He stumbled back immediately, heart pounding. The next morning, he tried to ignore it, but curiosity had already taken root. He asked around town, about the house, about the previous owner, about the room. Most people refused to answer. One woman finally said, "They kept someone in there." Evan frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated, then whispered, "The son." According to her, the previous owner had a son who was not right. He never went to school, never left the house. People said they heard screaming at night, sometimes laughter, sometimes begging. Then one day, it all stopped. No one ever saw the son again. Evan drove home in silence. That night, the sound started earlier, not at 2:40, at 1:15 a.m., scratching, dragging. Then, from inside the locked room, 3 slow knocks. Evan stood frozen in the hallway. Then a voice came through the door. "Please." His blood ran cold. "Let me out." The voice sounded weak, broken, human. Evan stepped closer. "Who's there?" Silence. Then, a whisper. "You locked me in." Evan's stomach dropped. "I just moved in." Then the voice said something that made his knees go weak. "No, you didn't." That's when the scratching started again, violent now, desperate. Evan backed away, locked himself in his room, didn't sleep. The next day, he bought tools, crowbar, bolt cutters, because something inside him needed answers. That night, he stood in front of the door again. The house was completely silent, too silent. He slid the crowbar into the frame and forced the door open. It gave way with a loud crack. The smell hit him first. Rot, decay, something old and wrong. He stepped inside slowly. The room was empty, no bed, no furniture, nothing, just walls, and deep scratches carved into them, thousands of them, words, names, tallies, and one sentence, written over and over again, "Hate you, won't let me leave." Evan turned slowly. The hallway behind him was gone, just darkness. Then, something moved. Not from the corner, from the ceiling, a shape, peeling itself out of the shadows, too thin, too long. Its limbs bent wrong. Its face stretched into something that wasn't human anymore. It dropped to the floor silently and smiled. "You opened it." Evan tried to run, but the door behind him slammed shut and locked. from the outside. The house was found empty weeks later, front door open, lights still on. But upstairs, that door was locked again. And from inside, sometimes, people still hear knocking. 3 slow knocks. And a voice whispering, "Please,